Hey friends, it's Simon Hurley from INKLIPSE and welcome to tonight's live stream. I know in the past couple times I've tried to do live streams, they haven't always gone super smoothly, but tonight it looks like we have a good connection. Cross our fingers and hope it stays that way. And tonight we're going to be kind of taking a peek and crafting at my newest release that just released yesterday. We had some technical difficulties with that live stream, so I re-uploaded it so you guys can see the full reveal if you want to. But tonight we're going to be kind of looking a little bit closer at some of the products and creating some fun projects with them. So I'll wait for a couple of you guys to join in tonight. My mom's actually off to the side too, so she'll be kind of reading some of the comments as we go and interacting with you guys as well. Awesome. Hey there, thanks guys so much for joining, and let's turn down to my work surface and get started. It looks like YouTube is just sending out some of the notifications, so lots of you guys are arriving. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to turn down the camera here and let's get right into the release already. So I'm going to start off first with the cake maker stencil because I thought this one was really cool and I'm kind of excited about it. Let's go through some of the stencils first and then we'll get into some of the different stamp sets that we've released. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining. And also, all of the products today will be linked down below in the description box. There is the first link in the description is all my Ranger products. So you guys will see kind of the newest release at the top, and then if you're interested in any of the other stuff, it's all there. So all my inks, cardstock, and everything like that. All right, so this one is called the Cake Maker stencil. And in here you get a 6x6 stencil, and it's perfect for making large cakes on your cards, whether it's a birthday cake or a wedding cake. It's really great for kind of designing things like that. And it's a very nice, substantial size for a focal point as well, which I really love. So you get the stencil, and also it has a mask for one of the cakes. And we just like to include these every once in a while if you want to use it for kind of watercoloring and stuff like that. I have, the shell maker has some of these as well, and it really is helpful. Awesome. Blanca says, yay, I got those yesterday. That's so awesome. So hopefully they arrive soon and you guys can create with them. Ranger is still shipping right now, which is really awesome. So let me grab out the stencil I've already been using and let's get right into it. So this one looks a little messy. We got to clean some of the ink off here. Awesome. You can read some of the comments if you want to.
Okay.
Perfect, so here is my stark white cardstock, and let's start off by making one of the cakes. So I like to start off with the cake stand. It's really up to you when you create with this, what you want to add and what you want to leave out. You could really make it super simple, or you can make it a lot more detailed. So I'm gonna go in first with some woof. This is my gray ink pad. And I'm just going to start off with the cake base. So let's go in here. I'm just going to blend onto here. Now, a lot of people have noticed that we add lots of images onto these stencils. And if you want to, you could totally mask off any area that you're afraid of inking up. But I just kind of find that tilting your blending tool instead of using it flat down kind of helps to get into some of those areas. All right. Yay, lots of you guys are saying you ordered everything. That's so awesome. Thanks so much for your support. It really means a lot, especially during these kind of crazy times. So then you can go in with the double layer cake or the single layer. It's kind of up to you guys because any of these add-ons will work on either one. You just have to ink up the bottom portion of it if you're just using the one layer. But I'll go in with the 2-layer cake here.
So Maria said she loves the stencil.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Maria. I think these maker stencils are really awesome, and I'm so glad you guys have really loved them over the past couple ones that we've done because it's a really great price point instead of doing a layering stamp set, and you could also add much more like depth and dimension with blending into each layer, you know? I think that's really awesome. So I'm just going in here with Over the Moon, and this is like the perfect light vanilla kind of color for one of these cakes, but you can really go in with whatever color you want.
So Blanca said she loves lots of images in the stencils.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll show you too with the scene maker stencil that we're going to show in just a couple seconds here, you know, what the different including all the different images on the stencils really does, because it really makes the stencil super versatile. So for this little area here, I'm going to go in with Prom Queen. I found that this one's really great for cake frosting. It's just such a nice bright pink color. And I'm going to use one of these detail blending tools from Ranger. So I just lined this up, and I'm showing you guys this one here. I showed it on yesterday's live too before it went, kind of got deleted. But with this part, this is the only one that's a little bit trickier. And it's little swirls of frosting on the top, because here's the thing about this. You're going to move it down just a little bit. With the top two pieces of frosting, we actually separated these images up a little bit, because if you made them connected around the cake, it would actually kind of cut out that center portion, which we didn't want. So all you have to do is move it down until it lines up with that bottom layer of frosting, and then start blending in there to finish it off. So there you have that frosting going all the way around then, and it really completes that nicely. Yay, Kelly said she ordered the flower builder and scene maker too. That's so exciting. And what did Rose say?
Rose asked, where do you order this stuff from?
And you can use the first link in the description. It'll say like order the new Simon Hurley Create Release, and all of my whole product line is there. And you can even, if it's your first purchase or if it's your first time using that code, you can use code Simon20 for 20% off your entire purchase. But it only works once, so stock your cart full, because you only get that deal once, which is awesome. So I'm going to even go in here with these little dots too. I did that yesterday, and it just creates a fun look on your cake.
Yep, I see Christopher Allen's here.
Hey, Christopher. We have some exciting news. I'll let him kind of announce it on his live later, but we're really excited. We kind of figured some things out about my inks today, which is awesome. Okay, so we're going to use Clear Skies now, and I've shifted the stencil just a little bit. And I'm going to go in here and just add a little bit of that light blue color too, so it almost looks like a funfetti cake. Just going to go in here and look at that. Might look a little weird with the blue, but I love how this cake turns out once it's all done. And so it's really up to you how you want to make this cake. I'll bring this example in too. And this is all the different varieties of things, or like kind of designs you can add onto here, which I think is really awesome. And of course there's a little cherry in the set too. And there's also this candle. So let me show you how to do that. Okay.
So someone mentioned that the inks are sold out on Ranger, and then you'll keep trying.
Yes, so you want to keep trying with Ranger, because they've actually kind of updated their system now, which I really like. It looks like they're really like sold out all the time, which is kind of not too great. But the great thing about it is they only keep a certain amount of the inks in the pick and pack machine each day. So that just makes it so that they don't have to keep running back and forth. Oh no, we're going to have to, oh no, okay, it came back. That just makes it so that they don't have to keep running back and forth through the warehouse to grab the stuff. It's all in that one machine. So each day they kind of restock that, and so you should keep coming back and checking. Awesome.
Hi, Linda. Linda's in from Nina.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Linda. And I bet I know what Chris worked out. Definitely. Okay, so here is the cake once it's all complete. And again, like I said, there's so many different ways you could use this, which I think is so cool. Let's go in here with this bubble wrap stencil. Now this is from my last release, but I always encourage you guys use the older stuff along with the new stuff, because it all works together really nicely. So here, we all know I'm not a big fan of masking, but you can always go around it really easily. So I'm going to use Minty Fresh, which is my kind of like minty green, but also kind of a little bit of a neutral color. And I'm just going to go in and really lightly do some shading around the cake. And this is a good way just to get a little subtle pattern in the background. You don't have to cut out the cake. You don't have to do anything like that. This is just a great way to do kind of a one-layer card with just this stencil, which I think is really awesome. All right.
So some people are commenting about your shading and how nicely your inks shade.
Yes, they do such a great job. And I always say this too, but you know, sometimes you really don't know it until you get them in your hands and they blend like butter, because you know, lots of inks on the market look kind of the same, but these, I promise you, when you get them, they're very different with the formula. We really worked hard to make sure that the ink is going to blend nicely, stamp nicely, and also watercolor. So let's lift this off, and there you have a really awesome background. And again, no masking. I just went kind of right up to the edge, and it also leaves a little bit of a halo around, which kind of highlights the image a little bit.
And the cardstock is key as well.
Yes, the cardstock is definitely key to when you're blending. This is my stark white cardstock, and this stuff works really, really well. I don't know if you guys have seen my video where I've kind of compared. You want to grab, there's a sheet next to that green cardstock at the end. It's kind of like sandwiched in between that stuff. So let me just cover it really quickly. Yep, right there, the white one. Perfect. So this is the cardstock that I used to use for all my crafting before I got my stark white cardstock. And you can kind of tell it's very different looking. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to pick it up on camera, but this one's a lot more yellow and mine is a lot more bright white. They're both 110-pound cardstock, but let me show you the difference between ink blending, because this is very much so key to getting great ink blending results each time. I tested like 70 cardstocks when I did this, and this was by far the best. This one wasn't even in the first round of testings. I was like, is there anything else? And then she pulled out this one, and this was the perfect cardstock. So let me show you guys the difference between them. I'm gonna grab my Prom Queen ink pad. I've been using this one a ton. It's a super bright pink color, which I love. So load up your sponge with your color. I'm gonna start off on the cardstock that I used to use, right? So let me go on here. I'm gonna start my blending. Right, and it looks kind of fine, right? It looks like it's blending really well. It actually does blend out nicely. But when I touch it here, you'll see I get fingerprints. And I know you guys, if you've used cardstock before and you get fingerprints, it's not an awful thing, but you just have to use a piece of cardstock then and not touch it with your hands, which I don't like doing. And so I'm gonna try to layer this up. We'll add more ink on here. And really all this is doing is just moving around the color. The color didn't get too much darker, but it just adds more ink on there, which causes more fingerprints. So I'm gonna leave this in the corner so you guys can see that. And now let's go in on my cardstock, okay? I'm gonna go in here already. I'm just going to kind of blend it out. If you get any harsh lines, I find just kind of keep moving your blending tool, and it tends to soften it out when that ink is still on the surface there. So you can already see just in that first layer, the ink is already darker. Because my paper has no coating on top, it's not going to pull the ink anywhere other than the cardstock. It dries in really nicely on there. So let me test too the fingerprints. You really don't get many fingerprints on there either because it's dry on that surface, which is really nice. So then, if I wanted to, you can see I tried building up the color on there and it didn't really build, but let me go in on here again and continue building up that color. So you can see how much darker that gets with little to no effort. And that's my favorite part, because if you want the inks to be as bold and also have the opportunity to either go lighter or darker rather than just having this one tone of color, this is going to be your cardstock. So that's why I always recommend it. There's so many different things about this that makes it so good. And I know lots of people might ask, is it good for Copics? Is it good for acrylic? I have lots of people who have tested it with all different types of things, and they say that it's really good for all of that. And it's really a nice, sturdy, thick cardstock as well. So I really highly recommend it. So let's get back into the rest of my products. But that's the difference between my cardstock and some other ones. Look at that. Just look how cool that is. You can build up the color so well on there and get whatever shade you want, which I think is awesome.
So the name of it and where you can buy it?
Yes, so the name of the paper is called Stark White Cardstock, and you can buy it at that same link down below. It's available at Ranger Ink, and actually after the live stream, I'll create a full product list of everything that we actually used in today's live stream, and that will be in there. And you can also buy it in the Paper Lovers Bundle, which is 5 packs of it, so you get 50 sheets in there, which is awesome. Okay, so let me turn back down to the surface. Let's clean up just a little bit here. Hi, Diane. Awesome. Yay, Kelly says she can't wait to try my paper. She also ordered that. Thank you so much. Linda said she bought a bunch of my paper from scrapbook.com. That's so sweet. Okay, so now let's go into the Scene Maker stencil. And so many of you guys were so excited about this one. And I am too, trust me. This is so exciting for me because I always would see so many different builder stencils and maker stencils where there was clouds or there was a lawn or hills or anything like that. But when companies made them, number one, they wouldn't put any images in the center, which seems like a waste to me. And it was also all of one thing, so you would need like 5 or 6 stencils to create a scene on your card, which I'm not into. I'm into you guys saving money and really investing in a product that's going to be able to create all different kinds of scenes for you, which is awesome. So this is the Scene Maker stencil, and inside the package you get, again, you get the stencil and the masks. So we attach these with stickers, and all you have to do is peel them off. You get the circle for the sun, this mountainside, you get 2 clouds, and the moon as well in there. So I just take those off and keep them inside the package because they're quite useful, especially that mountainside, which I'll show you in just a second. So there's lots of different stuff you could do with this. So let me show you the first kind of scene that I've been creating with it. I'm going to go in with the grass first, and I'm just going to blend that out. If you guys were in that stream that kind of failed yesterday, you've probably seen these first 2 things that we're demonstrating. So I'm going to go in with Psych first. And do some blending and blend this out. I like to start at the top of the grass because that's going to give it kind of natural shading and give it darker at that top part, and then it goes down into the white cardstock. Yay, Blanca said this one's brilliant. I ordered it too. Thank you so much.
Quite a few people said they love this stencil.
Yay, I'm so excited because I really just didn't know why there was so many different stencils to create, you know, one scene on your card. Knowing me, I would lose all of them before I was able to even use all of them. So having just one for all those different things I think is really awesome. And again, if you want to mask off any sections, go ahead and do that with tape. But again, I just kind of tilt my blending tool on its side and it works pretty well, which is awesome. And then going in here, adding a little bit of darker color using Tropical Tango. So there we have our hill, our grass already. And this really, honestly, this stencil adds so much versatility if you're a big fan of my line, because there are so many different critters and things like that that you can make standing on a hill. And so instead of like ripping cardstock and trying to get like the perfect hill, this is really great for that, which I think is awesome. Okay, any comments?
Yep, Linda Munier, I think, said she bought a bunch of the paper and it's so much better. So
thank you so much.
A lot of people, other people say that too, Linda. Once they use it, they don't want to switch back to anything else.
Yeah, it's crazy because everything, right? It's just like, it looks like a white cardstock and my inks just look like a regular ink. But once you start using them, I've had so many people tell me that they just will never go back to any others, which is awesome. Okay.
And it really does help the inks blend.
Yes, it helps so much. And so whenever I see people struggling with blending the inks, I know that this is at least the first thing. It does take a little bit of practice and making sure your blending tools are saturated with ink to make sure that they're going to blend really well. But also having a great cardstock works hand in hand to get some amazing blending.
So what brand? Who makes the stencil?
Who makes the stencil? It's Simon Hurley Create. So you can find it in the first link in the description box. And if you haven't bought anything using my code Simon20, you can use that for your first purchase. And you're going to want to load your card up because it's a one-time code. So on the edge here, I've already got a little bit of ink. This is the one downside of having so many images on one stencil. So all you're going to need to do is just go in and wipe off that ink with some water. Inks don't stain and they clean off super easily. Okay. I don't know why it keeps going. It goes black for like 1 second, but
okay.
Yep, you can buy it at Ranger Ink. Yep, INK. Perfect. Okay, so let's go in with kind of the next thing here. So what did I say, right? This is going to be so helpful in masking this off. So let's say you want a sun, right? So I'm going to go in. Let me bring my purple tape in. This stuff is awesome from ThermoWeb because then it doesn't rip your cardstock. Just going to make sure I line this up. So the important part for me was including these masks because I am not into cutting masks. We all know I don't love masking, but if it's this easy, it's really quite simple to just pull out this mask and tape it on before we go in and do the rest. So I'm going to add a sun kind of peeking out behind this mountainside. So all I'm going to do in here is go in with a little bit of Slippery When Wet, which is my yellow color. Oh, Elizabeth said that's definitely a clever stencil. Thank you so much. I thought it would be a lot of fun. I knew you guys were going to love it. If I loved it that much, I knew you guys were going to love it.
Well, and Bella said thanks for so much. She just realizes there's so much thought that went into all these products. Definitely, so much thought. And a huge thank you to the Ranger team too, because they're always kind of helping out with ideas and really helping out to make sure all this comes to life, which is really awesome. I kind of sketched out this stencil and then went in and cleaned up some of the lines, and it looks really awesome once it's all done. So let's do kind of the final reveal. Let's peel it off here and look at that awesome masking there. And if you have any little white area too, all you need to do is go in here. Let's grab a blending tool. This is one of the detail blending tools, and I just go in and go kind of right up against that, and it makes it a little bit less noticeable, especially if you go in with that same color And you can go in there and kind of fill in that little area if you really want to. Thank you so much. Cheryl says, yeah, you do such a great job designing. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Okay, so now let's go in with some of the clouds. Now, I totally understand why some companies do 4 different sides, right? Because you want everything to look completely different, especially with the cloud patterns and things like that. But I'm going to show you a really easy way to make it look different every single time. So let's go in here with, I think I'll use a little bit of clear skies. Let's see, where is that one? Right here. The perfect blue for a sky. And then I'm going to grab, it's still in here, perfect, my blending tool for this. So the key to this is just kind of moving around your stencil and really using up all the real estate. So I'm going to go in here and start between these hills. Again, no masking, I'm just avoiding some of those areas. And you can kind of let this stencil fade off, right, because it's pretty simple to do. And a little bit of ink goes a long way, right? Even if it doesn't look like it's completely like super dark, you don't want it to be, because this sky kind of fades out. So I'm just going in here. You can see I'm already using different sections of the stencil. Let's go in here and just add a little tiny bit there. So adding little bits here and there is going to help those clouds kind of come to life. I'll just move the stencil, bring it on this side, and go in with a couple different areas here. Perfect. Okay. So then another really helpful thing is a stencil has 2 sides, right? So you can use this and it's going to give you a totally different look. So I'll go in here, add that in, go in with a little bit more there. So right, this is super easy to do. And what everybody was so surprised yesterday too, because it's really quick to put a whole background together like this, right? Which is really cool. It looks like it took a long time, but it's super quick to just blend this all out really easily. So I'll go in here, and the key is to just keep moving around your stencil, because if you keep moving it, none of these clouds really look the same. They all look nice and different, which is awesome. And then you could even go in, and let's say I went right here with this part, but I don't want that same larger one right there. You can then go in with kind of a cloud that kind of matches up to that area. Go in here, and then bring a little bit more in here, so you could really use all different sides of this, because it doesn't really matter. You're just making kind of a randomized sky. It might look a little weird at first, but once you go in and finish the whole thing, it really all comes together and creates a beautiful looking sky, which I think is awesome. Okay, so we even added other little clouds in here. We also wanted you to be able to make it a nighttime sky, so we added a moon and some stars as well, which I think is really fun. And this sun is a nice focal point too on your cards if you want to make it like that. So another cool thing you could do with this is add little birds too, which I think is just so much fun. And so we added these little birds in here.
So people are loving that there's so many tools in this one stencil.
Yeah, definitely.
It's brilliant.
So versatile, which I think is so awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a little bit of woof with my detail blending tool. And I'm just going to bring it in there. And I'm going to do it right around the sun there, and then we'll throw in one more bird kind of off to the edge here.
Looks good.
Perfect.
And Yvette said, I'm blessed with a very talented son.
Oh, awesome.
That would be you. Yes, I am, Yvette.
Oh, nice. So, yes, that is kind of the background that we made with this blending. Now, this side up here, it actually is curved just a tiny bit. And that was on purpose because I wanted a really slight kind of hill too, or a little mound. And that really comes in handy. If you guys have seen the baseball set, it creates kind of a little like pitcher's mound, which I think is really fun too. So we thought of that as well. I was like, what do I put on this edge? Because there's so many images in here. And just that slight little mound there is going to create a really great little hill for your pitcher's mound or batter as well in the fun new baseball set. So this one's called Homerun, and I absolutely love this set. A lot of you guys have been requesting sports. There's more sports coming soon as well in the Dudes 2 kind of area and line, but I just think this one is so much fun for all the baseball lovers so far. So Teresa said hello, she's a little late. Totally, you can always join in, and there's a replay afterwards, so you guys can watch anything that you didn't get to see. So this stencil is so much fun, and again, you can keep it like this, right? You can keep it very sophisticated, or you can add little critters on the front, or a baseball player, like I said, and really make it more fun as well. But let me show you some of the examples that I did with this stencil too. So here is one of the more sophisticated cards. It almost looks like a little sympathy card here. And then I blended the cloud and sun and cut those out. And then here is just the sky that I did with those clouds. And then I also traced the clouds and just cut those out with the scissors too. So super simple, lots of stuff you could do with this stencil, which I think is awesome. I'm so glad you guys are loving this release as much as I do. You know, there is so much versatility in it as well, which I really love. So there's some rainbow clouds. This is the first thing I made with it right when it arrived, when I was sampling it. And I was like, this is an awesome stencil because you could do so much different stuff with it. Perfect. Any comments?
Blanca said she's excited about the sports and that there's
nice.
so many possibilities.
Definitely. There's so many possibilities with that for anybody who loves sports in your life, which I think is really awesome. And kind of adding along onto that Dudes 2 theme with those mix and match stamp sets you can kind of mix together, I think is really fun. So one thing that a couple people had requested is they saw this card. Let's see where it is. So this is the new Cakewalk stamp set. And there's this card that I made with it. I also created a more sophisticated card with it. And this is the Party Hats background stamp too. And then I created a more fun and playful version. And I wanted to share this because a lot of you guys were kind of looking at this and wondering how I made it. And so I wanted to show you kind of how you customize any of these guys. Liz said, any chance of hockey items? Wink, wink. Coming soon, maybe.
Bella said it's so refreshing to have some sporty and travel stamps. You can only buy so many butterflies.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's one of my favorite things about our line is we kind of keep making some really unique things, which is awesome. Okay.
Simon, did you play baseball?
I played Little League for a few years until I quit. It wasn't quite my thing, but my grandpa loves it, so it'll be awesome to be able to make him some cards as well and things like that. So I am going to pull out the stamp sets I've already used because I don't want to pull out a new one. So this is my Cakewalk stamp set, and let's create kind of a fun and playful card. Now what I love about this is it's our first birthday set, so you've got lots of options for birthdays, right? But I wanted to leave faces and arms and stuff off of the different things because I wanted you to be able to customize it if you wanted those fun things on top of it. So let's go in here. And I'm going to, I'm going to do the cake and the cupcake, but you could totally use, like I did the ice cream cone on the other one. I'm going to use these two, I think. And let me pull out some faces as well. So there's 3 different faces in here. And then let me pull out the arms and legs too. And so there's 2 arms and 2 sets of legs, so you can have different poses and stuff like that as well. And so there will be tons more videos coming soon with all of this stuff as well. I just wanted to do kind of a fun little live stream tonight now that our Wi-Fi seems to be working a little bit better, which is great. Okay, so let's go in here. I'm going to grab my acrylic blocks. And let's do a little bit of stamping. The one thing it keeps doing is kind of blanking out every once in a while, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. It just does it for like a second. So I'm going to go in with some archival ink and do my stamping. Going to ink this up. Are there any comments?
Well, quite a few people mentioned all the sets and items that they've already ordered.
Oh, awesome.
And some are saying that they're going to do it right after the live stream. So
cool. And yeah, the first link in the description, it'll say shop the new Simon Hurley create release, and that'll bring you to my full page of all of the different products that Ranger sells along with me. So, and you guys can use the code Simon20. If it's your first time using that code, you'll get 20% off of your purchase, and you want to load up your cart because you can only use that code one time, which is awesome.
So Kelly said she's going to blame it on the quarantine.
Oh yeah, definitely. Blame it on the quarantine. Okay. So let me stamp down this little cupcake. And like I said, you could totally leave it here, right? You could leave it with just these sweet treats and color those in super realistic. But I love that I added different faces and arms in here because you can totally do lots with it and just make it a super fun and playful card, right? Who wouldn't want to receive a little cake smiling on it, right? So let me stamp this in. You can customize it because there's 3 different faces in there. And they're totally my style faces, right? They're not just little tiny smiley faces. They've got a lot of personality to them, which I think is so much fun. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp these in. So whoever was requesting this card, Turns out so much fun. Okay, so let's go in. Let's do these legs. So there's one leg that's kind of like jumping out a little bit more, or you can make it kind of sitting down with that one. And here are just kind of the regular standard standing legs. Sorry, my head got a little in the way there. I just want to make sure it's all lined up perfectly. So just look over your stamps to make sure they're going to stamp. And then let's go in with some arms here. Let's do this one. Maybe they'll look like they're holding hands. So much fun, right? So I'm just going to use this one arm, but the other one has their arms kind of out a little bit more. Actually, let's do that for this cake. Any questions? Any comments?
I thought this was funny. Maria said my husband's favorite saying is that the craft store is calling because they're low on their inventory and they want some back.
That's awesome.
Donna asked if there were any new inks with this release.
Any new inks? Not yet, Donna. Not yet.
Not
but I'm
with this
so
release.
glad you guys are loving the inks so much. I know, at first they were, a lot of people were unsure about it because a lot of inks on the market look the same. But once you get your hands on them, they blend and they watercolor so smoothly. So here is that super fun card. I'm going to go in here and make sure this is nice and dry before I go in and watercolor.
So do your clear stamps not require a foam surface under the paper to make them stamp clearly?
Not really. It all depends on how you're stamping it and what kind of ink you're using. If you want to, you can totally use a foam surface underneath. I find I don't really have to, but if I make a mistake, I'll either, I usually go in, if I make a mistake, I just showed this in my class too, with a Letterit fine liner. And these are also waterproof and really great for lining the images if you do make a mistake. So like, let's say there was a little mistake up here, which there was, just missing a little tiny bit. I mean, nobody's going to really notice, but if you want to go in and fill in some of the little details that didn't stamp well, I think this is a pack of 5 fine liners you can find at Ranger, and I'll link them after the stream as well. I'll link all this stuff after the stream if I talk about it and it's not in my product category. Okay, so let's go in and do a little bit of watercoloring. I'm going to go in first and let's see. I'll go in with Over the Moon. I'm not going to watercolor the whole thing because I don't want to bore you guys to death, but I'll do a little bit here on the stream before I move on to the next thing because I want to show you maybe 1 or 2 more things tonight. So let's go in with some Slippery and Wet, Over the Moon. Let's do some Psych. We're going to literally bring in all the different colors. Traffic Cone.
Yeah, this one is new. Yeah, you're right, Sarah. Prom Queen is new.
Yep, this color is new. Prom
as
Queen.
of a month ago.
Yep, it was last released, the Mother's Day release, which I keep calling the Mother's Day release, but to be honest, you guys can really use it all year round because there are so many great, like, encouraging images in that and just some regular florals. So I wanted to put that out there too. Okay, so I work on a laminate surface. I always recommend a craft sheet though, but the laminate surface will do. I just wouldn't recommend working on your laminate at home. Mine has definitely gotten stains from this, but my inks clean off pretty nicely, but I always recommend a craft sheet. I just knew there would be some questions about what surface I'm using, and I just use it because it looks a little bit better on camera for you guys. So a risk in my table for you guys. Okay, so let's go in and do some watercoloring now. I found that I have best control with just a brush and some water on the side. So I'm gonna go in here with, I'm gonna use a water brush, but I'm gonna not squeeze it to make sure the water doesn't come out. And I find I have lots more control like that. So let me start off with a little bit of Prom Queen. Let's go in here. I find that I just like to lay down a little bit of color and kind of blend it together. And we'll do some kind of rainbow frosting as it goes up here. And so if you want to add a darker color, don't do as much water, and then kind of bring that in on the edge and do a little bit of shading there. All right, any questions?
Mom of 5 was excited about this set because she thought it would be great for teenage boys.
Definitely, for sure. It's just a really fun and playful set, which is what I love about it. It'll just make anybody smile, which I think is so awesome. Encouraging cards or just kind of funny and silly cards are really great. Okay, so I'm just going to bring... Okay, Okay, somebody's commenting on different inks on my cardstock. So I'm going to go out on a whim and say that most inks will work well on my cardstock. Lots of people have been saying that different paints and lots of different mediums work well on it, so I wouldn't see why other inks wouldn't work on here. But yeah, I think you're going to just have to give that one a try. But I find lots of different mediums work well on here. Lots of people were saying Copics work well on my paper, so I haven't tried out lots of different mediums, but I know that my inks work perfect on here. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a little bit of Clear Skies too. And then let's bring in, where did that one go? Let's go in with a little bit of Trippleberry, which is my purple color, one of my purples. This is more of a pinky kind of purple, but I love it for this kind of area here. This was my first one. And then we released Crown Me, which was a super fun dark purple color. Let me go in with a little bit of that for a little bit darker of a tone. This one's more like a grape kind of purple. Awesome. Any comments?
Well, Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday.
Yes.
So are all of you ready for that? And did you make your Mother's Day cards?
Yeah, let us know. I think we would love to
Sarah
hear about your
wanted to know
projects.
if you made yours yet. So.
I made my Mother's Day cards. Well, I think I will have to get one made.
Probably has one laying around.
Yeah, probably have a few laying around here. Okay, so let's go in here, and I'm gonna just do that same color that I used earlier. This Over the Moon color is just a great kind of lighter yellow, but also like a golden, so it's a great neutral color for lots of things like cakes and stuff like that. Then I'll bring just a little bit of Gur in, which is my brown color, to do just a little bit of shading on the edges. So if you guys haven't used my inks for watercoloring, this is a great way to use them. Just kind of smoosh them on your desk there, and then you get some really awesome color out of there, which I love about the inks because you don't have to invest in all the different things like watercolors and stuff like that. Your one ink can stamp, it can also do water techniques, and you can turn it into a cool watercolor like this, which I just love.
And Blanca said your inks are really versatile, and she loves them.
Thank you. Yes, I totally agree with you. I used to be a big ink junkie. I have like a whole wall full of all different ink pads. And you know what? I haven't even felt the need to even look at that wall because you can get so much use out of just my inks and all the different colors that we have and blending and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about them. So glad you guys have embraced them as well, because that just allows Ranger to go in and kind of support that line and keep making different colors and stuff like that. So the more you support the line, the different products that you enjoy, the more Ranger's able to create more. So I'm going to go in and do a little bit of shading on this one too. Let's go in and add some colorful candles up here. Some clear skies. Let's go in with a little bit of Prom Queen.
Fun fact, Mother's Day was in March in the UK.
Oh, nice.
So no pressure this weekend.
Yeah, I did see someone posted about that. That was some celebrity posted about Mother's Day, and I was like, wait, I hope I'm not missing something, but it was UK Mother's Day, which is funny.
Oh, okay. You thought you were late?
Yeah, I thought I was a little off of it. Okay, so I'm going to go in with some Prom Queen for the little lips there.
Yeah, Ranger does make a lot of inks. Maybe you want to just talk about how different they are.
Yeah, so each Ranger line of inks is very, very different. We all go in with the chemist when we're making our inks, and they don't start off with a certain really formula. We all kind of go in and we'll say what we want from our inks. So I went in and said, hey, you know, I don't really see a lot of inks on the market that are really, really great at stamping, blending, and watercoloring. Like, some inks are better at one thing than the other. And so I went in and I said, hey, I want my ink to do all three of those things really, really well. And actually, we changed up the formula right before Creativation to even make them better at all three of those things. So that's the difference between my ink. You know, archival ink is waterproof, so it's permanent compared to my ink, where my ink is not permanent. So there's lots of different things that go into making the inks. But yeah, we get to kind of sit down, and it's very different from just, you know, going into a catalog and saying, hey, I want this ink formula. It's really, we kind of go in and make our own, which I think is really fun because they have their own chemist. We make them in-house at Ranger, which I think is super cool. Awesome. Any other questions? I'm just going to go in here with the background. I just like to go in with a little bit of color and kind of water it down, and then I'll kind of fade it out back into white, and that creates a cool background.
So Maria said, I love that you can totally change the look from whimsical and cutesy to more sophisticated, all with one stamp set.
Totally. That's kind of our goal with our stamp sets, is we want to make sure you can have lots of fun with it, but also kind of make it a little bit more sophisticated. And this is just totally tons of fun. But again, like I said, let me bring back in those samples. So this is kind of how this one looked once it was all done. But here are 2 cards. Again, this one's more sophisticated, where you could just use the images and color them in more realistic. And then this one is just so much fun because Artie's in there too, and you can make him hold any of those items in there as well.
So if someone didn't try your inks yet, what 3 or 4 would you recommend?
Well, I recommend getting them all. No, I'm kidding. So if you love the collection, if you love the collection afterwards, I do recommend getting them all because we make sure that, there are not really any overlaps with the colors, and it's very difficult to make the colors that we have from the different colors, They're very unique. However, I recommend going in and getting like a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, 5, or you can get 3, like a red, yellow, and blue. And those are colors that are going to give you the most use out of them. So just pick the shades that you like the best. I can't really tell you because you know yourself best and what colors you're going to want to use on your cards. I find myself using different colors more often than others. So just kind of figure out what colors you already create with, and that's going to help you kind of decide, oh, I pulled off ice cream and I'm not even using an ice cream cone. So there's also these little details in the set. So like, let me pull them off and show you guys these. So I'm going to go in with first this little cupcake. It almost gives the texture of a cupcake liner, which I think is just so much fun. So I'll stamp that down using a little bit of Gur.
Marilyn said she loves card making, but she's bad at coloring and blending.
So fun. So I would just recommend just making sure you have, my chair is super squeaky, making sure you have all of the right tools and things like that. Make sure you have a really great quality cardstock, a really great quality ink, and then also really nice blending tools too. I prefer the Ranger ink blending tools. I found I haven't gotten, results like it with any other ones, so that has been really helpful. But also, a little bit of his practice, too. You always have to practice to get good at something. And so just keep blending on your cardstock, and you'll get the hang of it for sure. And then there's little sprinkles, too, you can add on to either the cupcake or the ice cream cone, which I think is so fun.
And Hunter's Habit says, get all of them.
So much
and
fun.
Elizabeth said, LOL, no joke. Buy them all. It is so worth the investment.
Definitely, like you said, it is an investment, but we also do sell re-inkers, so you're not buying a whole new ink pad if you run out of ink in the ink pad. But I find you don't have to re-ink it super often unless if you use the heck out of these things. So,
and Maria seconds that. His inks
cool.
make blending so easy. I had the same problem, and that's what initially made me fall in love with his inks.
Yay,
so
that's
give them a try.
so
Give it
awesome.
a try.
Yeah, definitely. And like we said earlier in the stream, if they are sold out at Ranger, sometimes that just means what's in the machine is sold out and not in the whole warehouse. So they restock them every day. So keep coming back and checking. But the first link in the description box will get you all the different supplies on that site. Awesome. So let's go in with some of my Stark White cardstock. This I actually used watercolor cardstock for. This is Ranger's watercolor cardstock, and I just did it on the smooth side. If I'm going in and doing lots of detailed coloring with little images, I like this cardstock just a little bit better because I have a little bit more movement. Like I said, my cardstock kind of takes the ink a little bit more, whereas this gives you a little bit more playtime on the surface. So different surfaces will do different things. Okay, so let's go in. I sprayed that down a little bit. I'm just gonna go in and dip into some of these inks. Like I said, they do so many different things, and there was, literally I dipped into brown and it doesn't look too awful, right? There's just a little tiny bit of brown in there, but I always say just kind of play with colors. My inks have a hard time making brown. When you mix them together like this, like I find that they don't really make mud too often. So that's one thing I love about them, because you can kind of just play around and have fun with different color combinations. So this could be the start of a really fun background. And let me just go in here. I'll heat set it a little bit, because you want to heat dry in between layers. Okay, and then you could always dip it back in and get different layers on there going. How fun is that background? Just lots of color on there. So that's kind of how you can clean up your inks and get a cool background out of it too. Awesome. Yeah, so if you shop the link down below, it actually does help me out a little bit. I do get a little bit of an affiliate commission, which is super awesome, so I really do appreciate that. But yeah, no matter how you shop, I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's go in. Let's see. I'm going to go in. What should I do?
So Shelly has 2 sets of your inks, one for the beach house and one for her house.
Oh, that is so awesome. You know, I had that too. Before this whole COVID-19 thing, we had 2 sets of the inks, and every time I would go to Gina's store to go film with Rena, I used a second set of inks. So you can never have too many, right? So this is my party hat background stamp, and my dog is just walking around in here. So this is the party hat background stamp, and this is a peel apart background stamp. And I know a lot of you guys have been loving these background stamps so much. It was kind of my original idea, and I was super excited about it at the beginning. Not really sure if everybody was going to love it, but I'm so glad you guys did, because Ranger just keeps supporting kind of these peel apart background stamps that are super cool. And so these party hats I hand drew, which was tons of fun. And then you can kind of peel them out here. And I think you get 5 different hats in here. Yep, 5 different ones. So one of each one of the designs. And then you could use the whole background by itself if you fit these back in like a puzzle piece, or you could use these separately. And so what's so cool about that is you can add party hats onto your images. So let's say I have like the bear here. You can put a little party hat and stamp that on top of him. And get that in there. But another thing I think is really cool is just going in and creating a background too. So if I wanted a randomized background or a cool pattern, let's say I wanted different colors, all I need to go in and stamp, and then you can go in with the different hats, but do them all in different colors. So it really depends on what you want to do. Of course, you don't have to make a whole background like this, but if you just want to make a little focal point for your card, you can do them in different patterns, which I just think is so much fun. So having these individual party hats is super cool if you want to do things like this, but I also just think it's awesome if you want to add a little hat on one of your critters that you've got from one of my sets too. But this is just another fun way to build up some colorful patterns with these stamps. Awesome. Any comments?
You should just be proud of your creations, and they're just so cool, these peel aparts.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's so sweet. Okay, someone's coming with a little bit of
Someone commented that the audio is hard to hear. Is anyone else having issues?
Try turning up your volume too. I'm not quite sure if there's much I can do on my end anymore. Mine is at the top peak, so it literally can't go any higher. So if you turn up the volume on your device, you'll probably have the best luck. So like I would even cut this out and maybe just use this as a focal point on a birthday card, right? But if you want to, you can continue making kind of a randomized pattern along your background to get a really cool look like that. But I wanted to show you how simple it is to put these back into place too. So really all you have to do is go in with a little bit of cleaner, just a little bit of water, because I want to wipe off any ink on there. And my inks don't stain either, so that's another really good part of it. So the cool part about this is they're all cut exactly the same. So really all you have to go is put them back in kind of randomly, because they're all going to fit in the exact same place. I'm so glad you guys are loving these peel apart background stamps as well.
Yep, and everyone else can hear you pretty well. So if you could just turn yours up, that'd be great.
Awesome. And I find too, if you're having a hard time putting any of these back into your background stamp, one thing that you could do is just go in and just kind of bend the rubber a little bit, and that's going to make it super easy to put back in. And so this is the best quality red rubber stamp you can get from Stampers Anonymous. We have them manufacture it, and they do such a great job, and they print it on the front here too, so you can see your design, and it's at a really great price point for a 6x6 stamp, I think too. With all these cutouts and stuff, I love what they do and the quality that they make. So yep, this is an awesome background stamp, and I've had so much fun with it, even with just this background where I just used the whole thing and stamped that down in kind of a rainbow color pattern, and I just love how that background looks once it's all complete. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm so excited that you are loving this release as much as I am. Let's go in here and talk about the baseball stamp set. So this one's called Homerun, and I know you guys have been asking for different sports stamp sets, so this is the first one in kind of the sports theme. I kind of wanted to test it out. And if you guys are loving it, Ranger will keep supporting it, like I said. So let me go in and do this first. Now, I want to show you guys something. So one thing that we did with the Dudes 2 line is we made the heads and bodies separately. And I'm so glad you guys embraced that Dudes 2 stamp set because it allowed us to do even more stamp sets like it. And so this was the Dudes 2 stamp set, which was so much fun. Kind of the first time you could really make a card for guys that wasn't just fishing or like wrenches or things like that, right? You can make just a fun and playful card that looks like the person you're giving it to, which I think is so much fun. And so then we did the Surf's Up stamp set, which mine is definitely stained, but I wanted to show this because there's a girl's head in this stamp set, and all of these heads and bodies are interchangeable. And so sometimes if I don't have enough room for all different kinds of heads in the stamp set, you can always pull different heads from other stamp sets that look like the person you want to add to your card, right? So I wanted to make lots of kind of baseball themed images like the glove and a big thank you with the baseball. So I didn't have tons of room for lots of different heads. So there is a guy's head in this stamp set, but there also is a ponytail too in here. So if you want to, you could stamp that together and make a little ponytail and make it into a girl, which I think is so awesome. Or you can stamp the girl's head from the Surf's Up stamp set if you have that one as well. Okay, so let me just go in here. But I didn't want to overwhelm each stamp set with tons of different heads because I wanted to kind of give you as many sports-themed images as I can because there's lots of different heads and different sets if you're collecting them all. So let me grab some archival ink and I'm just going to do some stamping. So I'll ink up the body here. And we'll stamp that down. Let me stamp it twice. There's also a batting image, so you could also use that. But I want to stamp this twice to kind of show you guys what you can do with it with the different heads. So I'll stamp that down on my stark white cardstock there.
Yeah, people love that you can interchange the heads and the ponytail.
Yes, I think that's so awesome too. It just makes it really versatile. Yeah, so what I love about this set too is it can be baseball or softball, which I think is so much fun.
No golf yet.
No golf yet, correct. Okay, so there is the dude's head from this stamp set. But now I want to show you guys, like I'm going to go into the Surf's Up stamp set. And I got to create a whole dudette stamp set too, so you guys have tons of heads. I didn't quite get to that one yet, but I started off with dudes just because there wasn't a lot of guy stamp sets in our industry, which I think was definitely needed. We kind of changed the game up on that one. So let me grab this head from the Surf's Up stamp set. Make sure you got lots of ink onto there to stamp it perfect. And then the funniest part about this is I didn't design it to fit on here, but the funny part is she has two like hair sections that actually fit perfectly around the other body. And look, they fit perfectly on this one too, which is hilarious. But yes, fits perfect on there. And then you could have either a guy or a girl playing baseball, which I think is so much fun. And if you want this hat too, literally all you need to do is stamp the guy's head, cut out the hat, and put it on top of the girl, which I think is so cool. So yes, you could do lots with this stamp set. I'm not going to sit here in a watercolor because that's going to get boring. But again, you could use the scene maker stencil to create a fun baseball scene. But there is tons and tons of fun images in this stamp set for baseball. You got your catch, thanks coat. Let me grab the stamp set that's not stained so you guys can really see all of the images. Let me go in here. Okay, here it is.
Is this behind it?
No, here we go. Thanks, though. Okay, the screen turned black. This is not good. Okay, let me try to figure something out. Give me 1 second. Just 1 second. Hang with me, guys.
So there's a vote in for hockey and for soccer.
Perfect. We are back in business. I don't know why it's been doing that lately, but it keeps kind of going out every once in a while, so we might have to end the stream in a second here, but we are back, so don't leave us. It wasn't the Wi-Fi this time. Okay, so with this stamp set, you have so many different images in it, which I think is so much fun too. So we got thanks coach, thank you. Some of these are in my handwriting, which I think is so much fun. So then we got you're a catch. Thanks for pitching in. I love you. Catch you later. Home run and happy birthday, Slugger. So tons of awesome sentiments in there too. And then we have this fence, and we didn't make it a whole background. We didn't want you to spend your money on a whole background, but you can repeat this as many times as you want because it is a fun repeating pattern, and just so many fun baseball themed images in here, which I think is awesome. So let me show you some of the examples we did with this too to kind of inspire you guys before we hop off of tonight's live. So here is the girl playing baseball, which I think is so much fun. And I colored in her little jersey like striped pink, which I think is awesome. And then, let me go in here, let's see. I'm not going to be able to find the other one, but there's lots of these fun cards you can make with the baseball stamp set, which I think is just so cool. This is one of my favorite stamp sets so far, just because it works with so many of the other sets. So if you have the other dude's 2 sets, this is going to work absolutely perfect along with them. And I totally cannot find the other one here, but...
Or if you don't have it, maybe get it, right?
Where?
The dude's
stamp
set.
Yeah, if you don't have that dude's 2 stamp set, it's just going to help kind of make all of them even more versatile, which I think is awesome. And that Surf's Up stamp set is the set with the girl's head in it too. So if you want that one for a little bit more versatility in there too, that's going to really help. But yes, awesome. Okay, so before we end tonight's live stream, I do want to talk about something, kind of end it off and let you guys know about Simon Hurley Create Bingo. I know we keep talking about this, but I think it's a super fun challenge, and I know lots of you guys are big fans of the Simon Hurley Create line, and I thank you guys so much for that. So we wanted kind of something to reward you, but also incentivize your awesome creativity. So on social media, we're doing the Simon Hurley Create Bingo Challenge. And if you go to my website, INKLIPSE.com, I'll link it after the stream so you can find it after the stream in the description box. But you can download the bingo board for free and start participating. So there's a list of prompts. You'll write them down in here randomly. And then tomorrow, we are actually announcing the first 2 prompts. So every month, the second Friday of every month, you'll get 2 different prompts to work with that month, whether or not it's on your bingo board. We want you to work with them. And if it is on your bingo board, you'll cross it out. That's just an extra fun thing. And then post your projects to social media using hashtag #SHCreatedToCreate. That's kind of the whole theme of this bingo, is you were created to create, which we think is so true. You know, everybody's created to create something different, and whether that's like engineering or different crafty things, which I think is so awesome. So we want to see your creativity with the products, and so these prompts are kind of broad, but then you'll use both of them together and create a really fun card, scrapbook page, planner page, canvas. You can really do anything, and that's really the fun part about it. And so there will be 2 different winners, one from Facebook and one from Instagram each month for just participating and playing along with us while creating. So your social media account has to be public for us to see your projects too. So make sure it's public, make sure you use the hashtag #SHCreatedToCreate, and then you can join us along on this fun challenge.
So I'm curious, how many of you, if you want to mention in the comments, how many of you have already made your bingo card?
Yes, let us know. I think that's going to be tons of fun. I think this is super off, so I'm just going to turn it back down to the bottom camera here. So yeah, let us know how many of you guys created this bingo card. Also, another thing I wanted to mention is I just started an online card making class. It's pre-filmed. It is a 1.5 hour class, and I made it more of an in-person class, kind of like formatted like that. So we sit down for an hour and a half and create 4 different cards with tons of techniques, tons of tips and tricks, all about ink blending and adding water and different techniques you could do with the inks. So check that out too. I'll link that down after the live stream is over, and then you guys can go sign up for that class if you're interested. But I hope you guys have an awesome night. Thank you so much for taking a look at my release with me and seeing some of the fun new products. So go check out that link down below in the description. The first link will show you all of the new products that we released, which I'm so excited about. But have a great night, guys. I hope to see you very, very soon in another card making and crafting video. Bye.